What's up, everyone, and welcome to episode 22 of Some Kind of Podcast. This is a podcast where we entertain you by discussing what entertains us. I am your host, Christian, and I'm here with Cody
Hello.
and Tim.
Hello.
We are ready to talk your ears off about everything we love about the entertainment industry. The launch of summer entertainment is in full swing, and we have a bunch to look forward to in the coming weeks. We have Black Widow coming out on July 9th, Space Jam: A New Legacy on July 16th, Suicide Squad on August 6th, and Free Guy on August 13th. First off, a bit of housekeeping. Formerly here at Some Kind of Podcast, we had what we refer to as Metacritic Predictions Check-In, where we talk about the games and movies we were most excited for as they release throughout the year, giving them miniature reviews of sorts of tracking and tracking the points awarded to them by Metacritic. Since we kind of threw the scoring system out the window this past week, I thought it was needed to kind of fill that void with something a bit different. And so the first of the two new segments that we're going to introduce is called Some Kind of First Impressions. So this is where if a game or TV show comes out that we believe we need a little bit more time with to give an accurate review, we will go ahead and give our first impressions on what we think of it thus far. And the second of the segments will be called Some Kind of Review. And as it says in the title, this will be our final review for video games, TV shows, seasons, movies as well. Once we've been able to dedicate enough time to it that we feel we can provide you with an accurate score, we will discuss it during one of our podcast episodes and then post the score that we've decided to award said form of entertainment to the website with a brief explanation as to why. So at the beginning of the year, we each picked games and movies we really wanted to talk about on this podcast. And so we're still going to continue to talk about those and cover the ones that we selected. But we're going to go over even more, hopefully, and then instead of providing you with someone else's score that they awarded, we'll be giving our own, and that'll be between the value of 1 and 10, of course, being the perfect masterpiece. But enough about the future. Let's talk about the here and now. This week we'll be discussing episodes 1 through 4 of Disney Plus series Loki, and what in our backlog games, movies, TV, and anime we plan on diving into over this holiday weekend and going forward. So let's get right to it. It's time for some Let's Loki talk about it. So Loki's latest adventure reached episode 4 on Disney Plus this Wednesday, so yesterday as of recording on June 30th. Following on from God of Mischief getting to know his female variant.
Spoiler alert. I have to interrupt you and throw it out there. Spoilers ahead. If you haven't watched it, Tim.
Look at all those Honda Civics with their spoilers.
I got to get it out there.
I had a plan for like.
I'm just in case.
Yes, Cody beat me to it. Spoilers ahead. We will definitely be diving deep into episode 4, especially, but pretty much for the whole show. If you haven't watched any of it, or if you're not caught up the whole way, just go ahead and pause now and come back to this later. Where was I? Following on with God of Mischief, getting to know his female variant, Sylvie, after the pair escaped the clutches of the Time Variance Authority. This is also the first episode of the Marvel Cinematic Universe series to include a post-credit scene, which we'll dive into in gloriously spoilerly detail. But first, and that was the spoiler warning, so Cody beat me to it. At the end of episode 3, we left Loki played by Tom Hiddleston and Sylvie played by Sophie DiMartino, seemingly trapped on the doomed moon of Lamentus in 2077, with a plane about to crash down and the escape vessel they planned to hijack destroyed. Sylvie had also bombed the sacred timeline, creating countless branches and forcing the TVA to deal with the chronological chaos she'd unleashed. So episode 4 had a lot of what the show refers to as pruning going on, and some of those were actually with some pretty major characters. But first, let's do a short recap. So in episode 3, it was revealed that Sylvie that everyone at the TVA was a variant captured by them from the timelines and brainwashed to forget everything they knew before making them believe that TVA created them. Loki attempts to convince Morpheus, which is essentially the handler of Loki during the show.
Mobius?
Who is reluctant.
Mobius?
What did I say?
Morpheus.
That's wrong.
I mean, it's close to the Matrix, man. You know, it's fine.
It's getting into it. Yep. So
Then
Mobius.
Loki says, "I know kung fu," and he says, "Show me."
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, Loki attempts to convince Mobius of this, who is reluctant to believe that the God of Mischief at first, but Mobius dwells on this for a little while, ends up stealing his supervisor's smartphone of sorts, uncovering evidence proving that this is in fact true. So in episode 4, Mobius discovers that the harsh truth, he comes to Loki with the intent of helping him escape, not before his supervisor, whatever you want to call it there at the TVA, shows up and prunes him. So he's Gano. Loki and Sylvie are both escorted before the three timekeepers, where they are told to speak their final words before being pruned. Fortunately for them, Sylvie has made friends with a timekeeper guard who has also been shown the secret truth about the TVA that interferes in the seemingly execution scene and throws the few swords their way to our favorite two Lokis. Fighting ensues, and once all of the guards are either pruned or incapacitated, Sylvie throws one of those swords at a timekeeper's neck, only to discover that they are just machines controlled by some other mysterious being. Just as Loki and Sylvie discover their displeasure with yet another roadblock, one of the TV agents comes to and prunes Loki in the back, right as the credits roll. But alas, there's actually an end credit scene on this. Loki awakens and asks himself, "Am I dead? Is this hell?" Only for the audience to hear someone say, you will soon be if you don't come with us." The camera pans to three people standing side by side. One seems to be either a hammer wielding Loki of some sort or a variant of Thor, followed by a teen Loki holding a pet crocodile, and then an adult Loki sporting Loki's more traditional classic attire from the comics.
I think the crocodile
So,
was
guys.
also Loki, personally, by the way.
Oh, you think it was like Loki holding
Loki,
like an animal
yeah,
Loki?
like I'm pretty sure all three, or like
Spider Pig.
pretty sure everybody was Loki in that scene. I think,
Like,
but it looked like
I said Spider Pig, but I know that was a reference to The Simpsons. But there is like in
no, Spider Pig's a thing.
the Spider Verse, there is like
Yeah, Spider
Spider
Pig.
Noir and Spider Pig, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a real thing.
So it's Loki Gator.
It's what I'm pretty sure the gator had like the horn, the crowned horn thing.
He did. He had that little
So
crown thing on.
I feel like
just
it's
thought it was
probably a Loki.
I just thought it was the kid being dumb, but like, I'm gonna put a little hat on my pet.
I mean, it could be, but I like to think that the alligator is also Loki.
If that's true, I hope he talks.
I do too. I hope he talks,
I hope it's
and I hope it's like, I don't know, like just
like a high squeaky
Nick
voice
Schwartzman or something. You know what I mean? Like just something ridiculous. Just Adam Sandler as a crocodile. I don't care.
So, first question for you guys, though, since I've covered a little bit of a catch up and synopsis of this episode. So, since the TVA has lied about, the TVA creating all of these workers, and what else do you think they've lied about? Do you think that the TVA has the best intentions, whatever this mysterious, like, overarching force or person, creature
Real
is,
guy.
You mean
to
the
maintain order, or do you think it's a sinister plot?
timekeepers or the TVA?
Well, so as I was saying earlier, the timekeepers are essentially not even like real,
Right.
Or if they are, they're in another place because the people that appeared before Loki and Sylvie
We're just
were just
androids.
machines. They're androids, and so they're either being controlled by three timekeepers someplace else, or the timekeepers was created by some mysterious force or person, creature thing as like the figurehead, when it's actually secretly somebody else doing the whole thing.
I'm just gonna throw this out here as my Cowboys versus Aliens calling it. It's another Loki.
You think?
I think there's a Loki controlling everything.
And that Loki is Eric Boner.
Yep.
Just kidding.
No, like I legitimately think it's another Loki, just from the way that they acted when like they finished like beating the snot out of the Minutemen.
Mm-hmm.
Like they were like, but we could also like just talk, like they
feel like-
switched their attitude real quick.
Yeah, I feel like in this series, Loki is becoming more like Doctor Doom, where like you never really meet Doctor Doom; it's always just a Doom bot. Where it's like, oh, this is probably just Loki. It's just another version of
Just
Loki.
Yeah, look.
Owen Wilson is just another version of Loki.
I'm gonna be look. I hope so much that since we learned that when they like disintegrate people with their little rods, that they don't actually get disintegrated. They just get like dumped into like the proverbial recycle bin.
They get put in the recycle
No,
bin,
like
and no one's gone over and hit the clear recycle
exactly.
bin yet.
That's legitimately what it was like. It was like they got deleted, and they were put in the recycle bin. So I really truly hope, because when Loki wakes up and he's like, "Am I dead?" and then you hear,
all this is just a timekeeper running a virus scan on his computer.
"Yep, nope."
So the good.
I was just gonna say I hope they do the same for Owen Wilson, and I really hope that like Lightning McQueen is there, because it's just alternate versions of him.
It's owned by Disney.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. It's owned by Disney. Like, I hope to God that they just like go all out, and then there's just a regular Owen Wilson there, and he's just like, wow.
He doesn't say it in the series.
I know. But
so that was part leading kind of into another question I had for you guys. And so this recycle bin that you're talking about, where these people go, where up until this point, we thought when you got pruned, essentially it was you're vaporized, you're just hecka dead and gone. So apparently it's not true, at least for Loki. I don't know if that has something to do about his powers or something, or if somehow that, interacted with the way they get pruned somehow, or if, like you said, if this is just a recycle bin that you're calling it, do you think that that's one of the timelines that they just use to keep all the variants in? Or
I think it's like a pocket thing. Like, I don't think a
pocket dimension?
Yeah, I don't think it's actually a timeline, which, by the way, I just have to throw out there. When Sylvie bombed the timeline in like episode 2 or whatever, and it was like Bizarro split, the next episode they had solved it like it was nothing. Like there was no alternate timelines.
Unless they're in the alternate timeline.
No, when they showed the all the screens, it was just the one sacred timeline. Like they just fixed it.
I don't know if that's them just trying to be like, oh yeah, like that's how powerful the timekeepers or whatever this person is that's actually controlling everything is at correcting time, or if that maybe it's like the timekeepers are lying to them. They're like, oh yeah, we totally fixed it, when in fact they didn't, and so they're showing that it's like corrected when in fact all this crazy crap's going on.
I don't know.
I don't know.
But yeah, no, I think it's like a big recycle bin. And I think that it's populated with just variants and probably some kind of like monsters that murders them, and the strong survive kind of thing, instead of them like legit, like in comparison, going to your recycle bin and hitting clear or empty. Like I feel like there's just something in there that wipes them, so that there's room for more, variants that they're just purging. And it could also be like a staging area where like they just get recycled into the TVA.
So you're saying like the timekeepers pull from this area and then like brainwash them and make them think that they're part of just the TVA troop.
Yeah.
And then bring them back into the fold.
Yeah,
because
time's not really an issue with them, so they could literally plop them in at any point in time.
So at the end of this episode, of course, all the workers, guards, whatever you want to call them from the TVA, they're in this room that had Loki and Sylvie seemingly about to meet their end in front of the 3 floating android time figures.
Mm-hmm.
At the very end, of course, when the one came to and actually zapped Loki in the back.
Yeah, the main
Sylvie, gets the upper hand on her.
Variant Minuteman chick.
When Sylvie gets the upper hand and actually, has her on her knees, she's like, "Go ahead and do it." And she's like, "No, you're gonna tell me everything." Do you think at this point that one? Are we going to have 2 branching storylines essentially, where Loki is going to be in this pocket dimension figuring out what's going on with all these other Lokis and whatever what over there, and then we're going to have Sylvie still doing the storyline that's with the TVA, and then like that's going to merge back together at the end of the season? Or do you think they're going to come back together and actually be fighting side by side for the rest of the season?
I doubt it.
For which one?
uh, for all of that because I I'm pretty sure there's only 6 episodes in Loki, and we're on 4, so I don't know that they have time to do that.
I think you probably just won't see Sylvie until Loki catches up with her again.
I think that like maybe half the episode will do that, and then they'll just converge at the end of the episode. Because, I mean,
Okay, yeah, you're right. Yeah, I was double checking that. I mistook. I thought this was more so like WandaVision, which had like 8 or 9.
no, it's only
But
6.
yeah, this is 6. So there's 2 left.
I mean, they
Uh
could be longer episodes and they could squeeze more in there, but like, I don't think they have the time to do a full like 2 different arcs in 2 episodes. You know what I mean?
No, but I felt like it was going to be like a Game of Thrones esque thing where like you're just popping back and forth between all these different things that's happening with all these different characters and like all these different regions.
I mean, I think they
Um,
will definitely pop back and forth, but I don't think they'll be separated for the whole episode. I think she'll figure out how to get to him. Because like I don't think the head of the TVA, I don't think she knows that the timekeepers were androids. Is my guess. I don't think she knew that, but I'm sure she knew, or at least had an idea that when they pruned somebody, they didn't die.
yeah, she's had to at least know some stuff because whenever somebody started to come wise to the fact that of what the truth about the TVA, she
Right.
was like instantly like prune them, get
Yeah.
rid of them.
No, she's definitely wise to some of it, but I don't think she's wise to them not being real. That's just my guess.
You say that again. She's not wise to them. What?
She's not wise to the timekeepers being fake.
Oh, okay.
I don't
Yeah, gotcha.
think. I think in her mind they were 100% real, and the fact that they're just androids, which by the way I think is funny because when Loki got there they were like, "Are you or have you ever been like a robotic individual?"
All right.
Which I thought was interesting.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I don't think she knew that, but I think she has some idea that Loki's not actually dead.
So then, like to that end, then, if you don't think either one of those are happening, how do you think that this story over the next 2 episodes is going to conclude?
I think Loki is gonna end up trying to be like the ruler of all the Lokis or something. Um, or there's just gonna be some weird dynamic of Lokiisms just happening. It's just gonna be a clash of Loki. Um, and then I think she's just gonna walk into a room full of Lokis, and it's just gonna be weird. I think that's what's gonna
Yeah.
happen.
So I think I guess your second thing that you said is more in line with kind of my prediction for it, where I kind of think that the end of this isn't going to have like a conclusion. It's going to be more so of like a Pandora's box opening, where it's going to be like, here enters the multiverse of madness, where there's just crazy crap happening everywhere.
Everyone is Loki.
Everyone is Loki.
So like I think that this one, if anything, might just lead directly into like Doctor Strange or something. And
Yeah. I mean, well, speaking of Doctor Strange, so not to derail too hard, but I know last episode we talked about the changes to the end of WandaVision.
Yeah.
The best theories that I've seen so far, because the only legitimate change that they added was more trees, and
I don't understand why, but okay.
So I'm pretty sure the reason is that shot where the camera zooms into the cabin is being used in Multiverse of Madness, and
Okay.
they needed to make them match.
Okay.
Like I feel like while they were in post production for Multiverse, they were like, we put more trees in there because it looked better, or they did a fight in the trees or something, and to make it canonically match, they just tried to quietly update it, and then people lost their mind. Also,
Treegate.
Also, I was watching some videos and I thought about it, and that little like ghostly image that people are seeing floating down the trees. That's an accident from the VXF people.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so in After Effects or Premiere, if you want to crop something out, you make a mask and you take your little polygon tool and you just like do it over whatever you want, and then you mask that to another area. Like if, uh, like the Starbucks cup in Game of Thrones, if they had thought about it, they would have taken a shot of that table, like a picture, and then just masked out the coffee cup, and then put the picture behind it, so you wouldn't have been able to tell the coffee cup was there.
Yeah.
And so I was looking into it, and during the original shot, the window behind her on the porch had like the reflection of like a cameraman or something.
Mhm.
And so they cropped it out. But they made a rookie mistake, and instead of like keying that mask so that it only shows up when the issue shows up, they just left it there. And so what happens is the mask stays in the same spot, and they didn't take it out. So as the camera's moving, it's actually picking up the like a background image, and so that's why it's like different from the background, and it looks like there's some ghostly image coming down because it's really just the background at another point, and they don't add up.
Interesting.
And I was like, man, that's exactly what that is, and people are losing their minds. They're like, oh my god, it's Doctor Strange, it's Doctor Strange. Like,
Nope.
nope.
It's just somebody's lost job.
Nope. Either somebody lost their job or it was a rush job for sure.
So back to Loki.
Sorry, I just want to point that out.
You're good. The At any point during any of the earlier episodes, did they give a specific number as to like how many timelines, quote unquote, there were before this magical force
Nope.
fused them all into the sacred timeline?
They just said that there were a ton of them, and they were all fighting to be the main one.
Okay, so for all we know, there's just like an unlimited amount of them.
Well, right now there isn't, but yes, there is potentially an unlimited amount, but right now there is only one because they erased all the other ones.
They're all going to break out at the end.
But they couldn't have fully erased the other ones because otherwise they wouldn't have variants.
They took the variant, just like whenever they go to a timeline, they find the variant, they take it, and then erase the timeline, which to me never made sense. Why not just leave the variant there and then just bomb the timeline and end it, including the variant? But they take the variant, bomb the timeline goes away, and then they prune the variant.
So my understanding of it, because like they showed a background of Sylvie as a kid when she was like, I don't know, 8 years old or
Yeah.
whatever, being taken by the Time Police, TVA, to be, taken away as a variant and be pruned or whatever. And so my thought process, the way I understood it, was that there's a timeline, and that when you have those branches coming off of them, that's the people on that timeline doing something they're not supposed to do. So they reset that to bring that character back, and then they continue along the sacred timeline or the proper timeline.
Yeah, yeah.
But if that's the case, though, that Loki or Sylvie would still be Loki. But it's
Continuity.
not. It's a complete different.
It's a continuity plot hole because they've contradicted themselves in the show.
Okay.
Because the very beginning, they're like, at one point, they were just crazy timelines, and they were all fighting to be the main sacred timeline. So the TVA was created to get rid of those timelines. And then now there's just a sacred timeline, and we maintain it, and anytime a branch happens, we blow it up. And then they were like, yeah, but we still pluck Lokis that are different all the time. And you're like, okay, but how does that work?
See, I thought it was more so like that there's like they say the sacred timeline or like the sacred flow of time. But I thought that like even though you see the single line on this screen being monitored, I thought that like so they're always talking when Mobius is talking to Loki about like, like this is destined to happen, you're supposed to die, Ragnarok is supposed to happen. I thought that they were talking about like in the different timelines, whether it's, the Sylvie Loki or the Loki we know, they're still meant to die and have Ragnarok, no matter what timeline they're in. So even if they're the same character, even if it's a female Loki, male Loki, midget Loki, whatever, it's gonna it's gonna still have the same thing happen to it at certain points in time. And so whatever that child Sylvie did to get her off the path to where she wasn't supposed to go where they wanted her to go, they took her away and then reset that timeline. But I still thought that there were multiple ones though.
You're I agree with you. I thought so too. That's why like I don't understand it. And not to quote Doctor Who here, but it's all wibbly wobbly. Like discussing time, like travel and timelines, you're just gonna give yourself a headache.
I will say though that like when they were talking about like the whole like time, heist thing in Endgame, and they were like everyone's like, oh well, we're basing all our logic off of Back to the Future and Hot Tub Time Machine, and then I can't even remember which one it was. It's like that's not how time works, dummy. And then like they gave this BS explanation, and I was like, I didn't follow any of that.
It made sense to me. Their explanation of like, if you go to the past, that past becomes your future. So anything you do there would just create another timeline if it changed anything. Because when you go back, you're just going back to your past, which then, again, becomes your future.
You already lost me again. I
No
was
matter
hanging
what
on there
you
for a
do,
bit.
you can't change the past. Was the whole point, was that if you're going to change anything, it has to be in the present. Which is why they brought the stones back to the present and made the second snap to bring everyone back there, because there was no way, if they had gone back to the past, snapped, and stopped Thanos when he did his snap, all that would have happened was they would have created a second timeline where everyone was alive.
Okay, so then I guess by that logic then, and by like say if this is, like there isn't multiple timelines, there's only one, and that all these other Lokis are just variant Lokis that are going off the path, and then which one's the main Loki then? Like I mean you assume
The
that,
one that died.
The one that died.
so then
This is not the
Sylvie.
main Loki. Like in Dragon Ball Z, they have Universe 7, right? So we're watching Loki from Universe 3 or something. You know what I mean? Like this isn't the Loki that we know,
Yeah.
that we've been following, that died in the beginning of Endgame or Infinity War.
Is in
Infinity War.
Endgame, right?
In-
No,
but
it's Infinity War. Yeah, you're
Right. No. I knew
It was
that,
the
but I
same
was just
Loki.
saying that like even though we're watching this universe as like the one that we're watching as the audience or whatever, what's to say that this is actually like the main sacred timeline?
It's not.
Oh, there isn't. Yeah, the way that they've explained everything and contradicted themselves.
The sacred timeline Loki should have died.
Yeah.
So this is not the sacred timeline we're watching.
So, if anything is possible in the sense that like you said, there should be other timelines. If a female Loki exists, that implies that there's timelines where a female Loki is Loki, right? Or
This is
like,
where like the multiverse would probably come in too, because that means that it's the road not taken. So in another universe, Loki is born female instead of male.
right. And so either there are multiple sacred timelines, as in plural, where the exact same thing happens in every single one of them. It's just
Except slight
different.
difference.
Yeah, slight differences to appearance. But
Maybe that's
quintessentially,
how. Maybe that's how Natalie Portman's going to be Thor.
yeah, that could be it. That could be how they do that. Or
Maybe in this other universe where Loki's female,
yeah,
Natalie Portman's worthy of picking up Thor's hammer.
yeah. It's the only way they're going to be able to explain the Spider-Verse, because they have confirmed a Spider-Verse. They still, for whatever reason, won't confirm Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire, even though all three Spider-Men, all three of them, are in New York right now.
They're not going to confirm it because they want it to be a big surprise.
But it's not, though. That's what like. Just say it. Whatever. Just say it. And we still don't have a trailer yet. Like, I feel like they're doing that on purpose.
They're probably going to wait until like Black Widow finally comes out.
I know, but I don't want to wait till Black Widow. I don't care if it's like 8
like
days.
10 days.
anyway, uh, there is either a multiverse of sacred timelines, or and in conjunction, there's multiple TVAs.
I say, aren't there also multiple timekeepers? What if each timekeeper has its own sacred timeline?
Well, it's either that, or there's the one. I think it's Loki, but there's the one person that's controlling all of it, and in each one there's 3 timekeeper androids to throw everything off, and then the TVA is just populated with variants. And there could be multiple of them, and then with, I don't know, with whatever happens, maybe they overthrow the main Loki, or whoever is running the show, and then that creates the multiverse of madness. Maybe it's all the different sacred timelines just branching off. Because in Endgame, when they were trying to explain the time travel thing, the Sorceress Supreme and Hulk, Bruce Banner, were having a conversation, and she showed him the sacred timeline and tried to explain to him that if you change something and it makes an alternate timeline, that's screwed. And it was like it was just like on the TVA's thing. I think that was on purpose, where a little branch went off. And then he was like, right, but if we just bring it back and put it right back when we took it, that goes away. Which is why I think, like, in the beginning, they were like, yeah, that was all supposed to happen. The Avengers were supposed to do that.
Because Steve went back and
because he undid it all. So
either way, we're gonna have to wait 2 episodes to find out.
right.
So, anywho, any last thoughts that you guys want to add on to Loki, or what you hope to see in the final 2 episodes?
I want to see Doctor Who show up.
Any realistic
David
things
Tennant,
that you want to see?
specifically.
I suppose they'll just pop into another timeline where everyone's just sitting around playing Critical Role and.
Yes. You get it. No, like, legitimately.
I want to mention that we're like half hour into this show right now, something like
Yeah,
that.
32 minutes.
And Christian was the first one to bring up Critical Role.
Yeah, it's true. It's very true. Christian was.
I wasn't even going to talk about it this whole episode.
Wasn't either.
So now this is going to spiral out of control, and we're going to do another 30-minute segment on Critical Role, but it's all my fault this time. That's what we're saying.
Well, you brought it up.
I'm not going to say a single word about it. I just wanted to mention that you brought it up.
You brought it up. No, I want to know who's doing it all, although I feel like we're not going to find out. I feel like either we're going to get a tease of it, but not actually know who it is, and then they're just going to leave it open so that people can theorize about it, and then we'll find out in Multiverse of Madness next year. Or is it this year?
It's next year.
Next year.
The only more movies coming out this year are Black Widow, Shang-Chi, and Spider-Man.
Right. Isn't Captain Marvel, did that get pushed back too?
That's next year.
Okay.
I think it's the Christmas movie next year.
Okay.
Because I think Doctor Strange is May 2022.
Okay, I got you. I feel like that Doctor Strange movie, by the way, is going to be the Avengers replacement.
I hope it's just like Doctor Strange having to fight a whole army of Lokis.
Be pretty great. No, I almost feel like it's going to be Doctor Strange versus Wanda.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know. I think it's going to be really interesting no matter what. But I would like to see
Ashley Olsen said she thinks her character is still a villain.
Yeah. No, I hope that in the last 2 episodes we do... Like, I don't think the show needs any major character crossovers, but I would like to see...
Not Ashley Olsen, Elizabeth Olsen. Wow.
I would like to see a crossover character, either make it Wanda or Doctor Strange, preferably Doctor Strange, just to like solidify that it's definitely rolling into that, because apparently he was supposed to have a cameo in WandaVision, but like scheduling didn't line up or something like that. So I really hope that they like significantly tie it into what's going forward.
So, go ahead, Tim. Sorry.
I was just gonna say my final thoughts is that I think that Kaylee's going to help revive Scanlan in Critical Role, and no, just kidding.
And episode 22 is as far as we go. Did you actually have a guess, Tim?
No,
Oh, okay. Thanks, man. So I feel like they're not gonna recycle exactly what they did, with Thanos being this like, massive, bigger, larger than life villain where everyone has to band together to defeat him. But they're gonna kind of somewhat do that again here. I think whoever is running the TVA, whether it's they're running multiple TVAs, whether they're running the single one that then controls all the timelines, one singular timeline, however it is, whatever this figure is, I feel like is going to be the big villain for this next phase.
Could be.
Yeah, I mean, I also kind of like Koei's theory of it's Loki.
I mean, that could be too. It could be another alternate.
Either Loki or Eric Boner.
Because I don't think that they keep saying how like their thought process behind all of this is like, oh, we have to maintain the sacred timeline. That way another multiverse war doesn't happen again. Even if the multiverse war happens again, I think it'll be like, oh, wait, why are we fighting each other? We should be defeating this big guy who's telling us what to do. And then I think the end of the phase will be like, everyone goes back to their appropriate timeline. All the stones and whatnot, ability to travel back and forth are destroyed. And then everyone just lives in peace in their own timeline or something like that.
Could be.
But
we're going to have a long time to wait to find out all that out.
That's like 10 years from now, but...
Was it Eric Boner? Was that his name in WandaVision?
It was something Boner. I really don't know what it was, though.
Gotta love the things we fixate on.
I mean, you knew what was happening when I walked into this. Okay, well, that's my thoughts on Loki.
The saddest explanation, I think, thus far for a plot hole that everyone was, or plot point that everyone was getting so excited for, it was just to be like a dude that doesn't actually know what he's doing, whose secret name is a sexual joke.
I mean, up until that point, it was the travesty that was Iron Man 3 when the Mandarin was just some actor dude. And I feel
That's
like
true.
That was the same cop-out they used in WandaVision.
I feel like it's going to be the same cop-out in this one. I feel like it's just going to be a Loki in over his head. And he was like, it was going so well. I'm sorry.
Eric Boner. Just tie it all in. It's yeah.
No, it's just going to be a Loki, and he's going to be like, I messed with Wanda, and I put a guy in there named, like, Eric Boner.
I would laugh so hard. I would actually appreciate that if Loki was like, I put a guy named Boner in Wanda's time. I would actually appreciate that. I'd like, you know what? You redeemed yourself.
Yeah, no, like, it's just, I hope that's what it is. I hope it's just, like, I hope he comes off as a wise ass, but then, like, he's secretly, like, actually powerful. And not just, like, jokingly Loki powerful.
Yeah, because I'm really pissed off if it's like Loki's just like, nah, I was just messing with you.
No, it's really just the Loki from the Sacred Timeline. Like, when Thanos cracked his neck, he didn't actually crack his neck. And somehow just, like, escaped and figured everything out and just was just like, yeah, I was tired of all of it. Just made it work.
Yep.
Anywho, we will see in the final 2 episodes of Loki. Black Widow will give us some backstory to one of the beloved characters. I don't think we'll get any, present day knowledge about the MCU. At least I don't think. Maybe an end credit scene. Who knows? And then we'll go forward to the Shang-Chi. Is that this October? Am I wrong?
September, October.
It's September.
Okay. And then Spider-Man's this holiday, right?
December.
Holiday. Yeah.
Okay. Well, cool. Yep. So we got a lot to look forward to in the MCU for the rest of the year. But for now, let's go ahead and move on to Guys, do you have any plans this weekend to burn through some of your backlog entertainment over this 4th of July weekend?
You can't see it, but me and Tim both just shook our heads. Um,
I gotta work, so.
so
But I mean,
looking,
if you're talking about this weekend, no, longer term, probably. So I can do.
Even if it's not this weekend, let's say like, the next little bit, for me, at least me personally, I don't have any major games coming out over the next probably month and a half.
yeah, I don't even know what comes out.
I think I mean, like, there's not like a big game dropping for me until like October. So, I mean, I've got a while to burn through my backlog. So,
Yeah.
I guess let me rephrase that in saying until the next big game start to drop this fall, what what do you guys want to try to burn through first to try to get through some of your backlog, whether that's movies, show, video games? Like, what's at the top of your list?
So honestly, I'm kind of caught up. Like, I mean, the only game on my backlog that I really like truly care about finishing is Horizon Zero Dawn.
Such a good game.
So I will finish that, but like, I don't have any shows that I'm behind on or like need to watch. I just binged Manifest.
How was it?
First season was good, and then it just got really weird, like sort of like Lost, but
I was gonna say, like, my roommate's watching it, and I was like, this has a Lost kind of.
it has a big Lost vibe. And season 4 got canceled.
Well, it wasn't that Lost.
So
then.
there's no resolution, and I didn't know that until I got to the end of season 3, and I was like,
I hate that. Can we just talk about that? That actually puts me off of a show, and if I'm really into one, I'll actually look to see if it's either A, still in production, or B, if it's done, if it actually had the conclusion that it wanted to.
Yeah.
And if it's not either one of those, I'll stop watching it because I don't want to invest my time in something that's just going to be open-ended.
Yeah, I don't think about it sometimes. Like, I watched Manifest when it aired season 1 back in the day, and like, it was fun. I thought it was a really interesting concept. And then season 2, it started getting really weird. And I was like, this is giving off some Lost vibes. And then into season 3, it was even more Lost vibes. And I guess they just canceled it. And I know the creator was like, he tweeted something about like, we're working really hard to give the fans a conclusion. Like, and it may be a movie. They might do a Manifest movie.
There was a sci-fi show called Dark Matter.
Yeah.
And it was like, I was really into the show. It had a really cool premise. And then I looked it up and realized that like it just gets straight up canceled without a resolution. And I was like, well, I really like this show, but now I never want to watch it because it's just going to bother me.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a few shows like that. It's unfortunate.
Yeah, I mean, I get that like not every show can reach its peak conclusion or anything, but for me, I mean, but I just hate like when stuff just gets canceled like in a season break. It's like you didn't even give them a chance to like try to wrap up their storylines.
Yeah. Yeah, and then some shows get saved. Like, I know they tried to get Netflix to save them, but Netflix passed.
That's one reason why I won't watch Firefly, because I know it just there's really no resolution to it.
It has a resolution.
Okay.
There's a movie, Serenity.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it ends. It has a definitive conclusion.
That first episode's just so
That
boring.
first episode is horrible. I don't know why. It's just it's real
boring.
Bad. But no, you should watch it because and then watch Serenity.
So boring though.
Yeah. Once you get past it.
I won't talk about what I'm watching right now for Christian's sake, since he gets all uppity about it. Because that's the only thing I'm going to be watching in like the immediate future. Just because of the backlog I have.
If you want me to do my diligence as host and just be like, and now our critical role segment, and then
Nope. I'm not doing it. I was going to talk about games. I was just saying I was going to avoid it because you seem to be perturbed when me and Cody go off into our tangents. So anyway,
I'm quiet. I never say anything about it.
Maybe if you watched it.
You just had a little late. Never mind. Yeah. Anyway, I don't know about games. I'm in this weird spot where like I want to play something, but I don't know what I want to play, and I have too many things to play, and I feel overwhelmed. So I'm just kind of like, I'm not gonna play anything. But I mean, if you want to know what I want to play, I mean, I do want to finish Ghosts of Tsushima. Uh,
How far are you into it from your playthrough? Do you remember?
so like at the beginning when you fall off the bridge,
Yeah.
there you go.
Well, you got a lot to look forward to, man. It's and even better, you actually led into what I was excited about, and that's the Ghost of Tsushima director's cut coming
I have
out.
mixed feelings.
You do?
Mm-hmm.
Why?
Because I don't know
Wasn't
if you
really
paid attention. It's not a free PS5 upgrade. It is a new version of the game that you have to pay $60 for.
No, you don't.
I
So
just want to point out
there's
that I wasn't really
three.
done talking, but okay.
Oh, I'm sorry. No, go ahead, Tim. We'll get back to this.
No, we're on this now. We're on this now.
So the Ghost of Tsushima director's cut. Essentially, it's got three price points. You can buy the game at full value, the $70 or whatever it is on PlayStation 5, $60 on. Well, I guess there's four price. There's $60 on PlayStation 4, and it's like a brand new game. If you already have the game, you only have to pay. I think it's like 20 or 30 for the extra content, and then the upgrade to PS5.
Well, if that's the case, then fine.
Let me see if I can find it real quick. Tim,
So
Tim,
I don't have to pay extra money if I want to get this upgrade.
you hang on.
You have to pay for the DLC. If they're doing what Final Fantasy VII did, then that's fine. Where I had
was
to
gonna say,
pay,
they're
I had to
doing-
pay $20 for the integrated DLC, but the upgrade to the 5 version was free.
It's extremely similar to what Final Fantasy VII did. Let me see if I can find the official thing real quick.
Is there somebody in
I also
there?
have
Okay.
a friend that really wants me to play Death Stranding that she let me borrow and has been all up on my case to play it. So I guess I'm gonna try to play Death Stranding at some point. But like that, I mean, I don't understand the game and it looks kind of boring to me. But I guess for her sake, I'm either gonna try to play it or give it back to her.
So, from what I've heard, as far as that game, I haven't played it, so I can't speak for personal knowledge or anything. But
Did you
it's
play it,
it's a
Cody?
great game. I mean, it's a Hideo Kojima game, so I mean, of course, it's gonna be made wonderfully. But you're either gonna get really into it or you're gonna not.
I'm probably
It's
not.
one or the other.
I'm probably gonna give it back because I booted it up. I say I booted it up. I sound like a 6-year-old man. I downloaded the thing. I turned it on and I got to the first part and it was just kind of like head over here, but like I couldn't get around like this rock thing. And I was like, I don't know how to play this game, and I turned it off. It doesn't give you like a tutorial. It's just like head over there. I'm like, how do I get over there? They're like, head over there. Like, okay, well, where's the map? Head over there. I'm like, all right, well, this is already hard, and I already don't like this, and this is like right after the opening scene, so I might just give it back to her and be like, I'm not smart enough to play this game.
I know I know that like a lot of people enjoyed the game just because like the gameplay was fun, even though it was a majority like just walking.
Yeah, I
But
don't want to be a
like
delivery driver either.
every review I've seen of the game says the same thing essentially, where it's like there's like 4 or 5 cutscenes of story that have nothing to do with essentially with what you're doing in the game.
Yeah,
And it's just like you're an Amazon delivery guy, and then there's some weird goopy people that are trying to kill you, and then there's cutscenes about some stuff happening, and then the game's over, and you're like,
yeah, like
okay,
I'm one of those guys. Like I like weird, kind of off-brand games where like you're like, whoa, what is this? And you have to like kind of like try to figure it out through the course of the game. And I mean, I'm on board if I don't really quite know what's going on the whole
Sure.
entire time. And
that's like,
But, like,
Returnal. I was totally
yeah,
on
like-
board with that.
it kind of needs to be explained, or I don't want to play it because then I feel like it just like the television shows that just end. If I don't know what happened at the end of the game, you didn't make a good game.
Yeah, that's sort of how I
Like
feel.
like I understand like leaving some things open ended. I mean, one of my favorite movies of all times is Inception, and people still talk about what happened at the end of that movie. But like everything made sense in Inception until like the end, where like you just it's up to your interpretation how you want the ending to go. But like
Right.
everything story wise made sense. I just don't like games that are just like, guess you'll never really know what happened. It's like, no, I invested money into this. Tell me what happened. Like you can get our DLC and find out. No, no thanks. You should have told me what happened at the end. I didn't
Yeah.
buy part of the game. I bought a whole game.
I mean, that was, you know, part of my issue with games like Destiny, where like you
Yeah,
got it
yeah.
and then like there was
I also don't
literally.
want to. I almost cursed. I also don't want to have to read lore cards to understand what's
Yeah,
going
that's
on
what I
here.
was gonna say. I was like, there really wasn't a story, and if you wanted the story, you had to like literally like search it.
Like your story should be succinct in everything that's happening on screen,
Right.
and then the lore behind it should just be like if you want the background information of why things are the way they are, here you go. That's what lore is. Lore shouldn't be telling me your game. You should be that's storytelling. You
Yeah.
should be telling me what's happening in the game.
Nope. I agree. I don't. Yeah, I don't know. Death Stranding's always kind of been like a maybe for me, but I don't realistically think I'll ever play it.
Yeah. I
I
mean,
kind of want to go back and play
until
what was it, Days Gone.
yeah, until Advent Children came out, you never really knew how Final Fantasy VII ended.
That's true.
And that's one of the greatest games of all time, quote unquote.
Yeah, it's the best
So like
selling Final Fantasy game.
I'm cool with like open endings, but like it has to make sense.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry, you can go ahead and talk about Ghost of Tsushima now if you found a Christian.
You're good. Uh, but yeah, so to clarify, Sucker Punch put out a PlayStation blog post. They were talking about like the breakdown of what they updated, the price points, and all that. So the Ghost of Tsushima Director's Cut that's scheduled to launch on August 20th is scheduled for a $69.99 USD in the United States for PS5 and a $59.99 USD for the PS4. But if you already own the game from the PS4 Director's Cut upgrade is $19.99 for PS4 users of the current version. And then if you buy that and then one day get a PS5, it's $9.99 to go from the Director's Cut on the PS4 to the PS5. And then if you have a PS5 like we all do and already have the game, you pay $29.99 from the PS4 original to the PS5 Director's Cut.
Okay, so it's $30.
Correct. So essentially, all that you had to take away from that, as far as us here in this, little podcast, is that it's going to cost us $30 to get this new thing.
That's fine. The
You
game's
guys
worth it.
get, let me know if it's worth it.
It's. I can tell you right now, it's worth it.
Yeah. So I will say that I mean, like, just for the sake of having it on the PlayStation 5, like, if it was literally just the same game, and they were like, you're going to get a free new platinum because your save transfers, which
That's
it
not
does. They
worth
already
it.
confirmed that. I would have been worth it to me. If it was slightly enhanced and I was like, I get to play on my PlayStation 5 and I automatically get a free platinum. But in addition to that, Legends Mode, which was the free DLC content that multiplayer aspect that released after the game launched, is also getting updates. It's getting new game modes, new game areas to explore in multiplayer. And there's also in the normal story mode, there's Iki, I think is how you pronounce it, IKI. It's an island bordering Tsushima, and it's actually a new story DLC. So you actually get to go over there as Jin and explore that region as well, where the Mongols also invaded. And yeah, so I'm extremely excited for all of that and tons of new content.
So,
Plus, like I said, I'm sure it's going to look prettier on the PlayStation 5. So
okay, this is kind of what I was already kind of talking about before, and this probably doesn't have anything with Ghost of Tsushima because they're actually going to give you more story and whatnot. But I feel like, I just mentioned Final Fantasy VII, not the remake, the original one, being held as one of the greatest games, quote unquote, with disputation, one of the greatest games of all time. And it's just polygons that aren't even like shaped correctly. Now, you just said I could upgrade Ghost of Tsushima from my PS4 to my PS5 and play on my PS5. I'm already playing it on my PS5. So the point I'm trying to make is I feel like there's just this like people have such like a focus on like they want the game to look the most realistic as possible that they're willing to forego quality and actually playing the game and will give more money just to have it look prettier.
Well, so for me, it depends on the game. So like with Remake, getting the PS5 version and paying the $20 was not for the visuals, because the game looked immaculate anyway. It was more for the story edition.
Yeah.
I'm
not trying to be like
no, I know. I'm just saying for me personally. And then when it comes to Ghost of Tsushima, if you get the DLC on the PS4, right? Like if you're just playing the PS4 version and you just get the DLC, you're not getting. You're missing out on gameplay enhancements. So they're with the PS5 version, they're actually adding the haptic triggers and the feedback in the controller for the different textures and stuff like that. Like they're adding all of that into the PS5 version. So it's not just a visual enhancement; it's also a tactile experience enhancement.
I think the other way I guess I'm looking at it too is that like if it's gonna cost $20 to just on your PS4 version get the new content, I'd rather pay just another extra $10 and just get the PlayStation 5
that too
version.
But the $10 is for that haptic feedback stuff. It's not just for the visual. Because if it's a visual thing only, it would be free. Like,
You'd hope anyway.
Well, no, like Spider-Man. All the other PS4 to PS5 upgrades have been free. Unless it adds something to it, it's free.
For me personally, thinking back to playing through on the story of Ghost of Tsushima, the one thing I'm really excited for after seeing the differences in the Spider-Man PS4 to PS5 is the freaking load times. There is a trophy in Spider-Man for like riding the rail or whatever 5 times, and essentially the riding the rail is when you fast travel, it shows Spider-Man, like on the the underground on the train station, and you don't even see that screen on the PlayStation 5 version because it's like instant loading. So just to have that is also going to be extremely beneficial. I think we were talking about this the other day when it's like, now I feel spoiled after seeing those like, play Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, Spider-Man, Miles Morales and everything. After seeing those incredible load times thanks to SSD, I get spoiled. And so now when I load up a game, even like Dark Alliance doesn't take full advantage of the new hardware. So to have to sit there and experience the load times that we used to, just expect on every single game is kind of a bother. But so yeah, I'm excited for it. I know it's not for everyone, and Tim, like I totally understand if you just want to, because you haven't even played the original one yet. So if you wanted to play it on the PS4,
I'm really just being a devil's advocate here. Like
no,
it just what you're saying kind of tied into what Cody and I were talking about when you were like looking up something, and I was just making a point. I mean, to each their own. I'm not like harshing anyone's vibe here or anything like that. I was just expressing a point.
No, and I agree with you 100%. But like I guess to that point, if it doesn't add anything and it's literally just a visual enhancement, I'm not paying for it.
Yeah.
Right? Like there's no point in that. Cuz I've already played it. I'm not going to pay for that. But if you add stuff to it like the adaptive triggers and the haptic feedback, and you're actually utilizing the PS5 functions and it looks better and I get DLC, sure, I'll pay for it.
Yeah. What's interesting about this is that I'm kind of surprised, like, the new Legends editions, modes, maps or whatever, that doesn't surprise me, considering how well Legends was taken and accepted by the audience. But I'm kind of surprised they're doing story DLC, because I'm not going to spoil it for you or anyone else, but how the original ends, I kind of just expected like a whole nother game. But yeah. Like, I mean, like, I guess I can see what they're doing here, because I guess this Iki, however you say it, is like right next to the Tsushima Island, which of course is the main game. It's essentially experiencing the same Mongol attack that the island was. So essentially just like a new region, probably a few more activities to do.
It said new enemies too, so.
To fight. Did it? Okay.
Yeah. So I don't know if it just means new Mongol types or or what. But I'm assuming it's a story continuation.
Yeah, I'd be kind of unless they're gonna like end this DLC with like yet another even kind of further cliffhanger as to like where Jin's headed after this. Because I can't imagine them coming out with another. I mean, I guess they could. I can't imagine them coming out with another
I
DLC. I
don't see
imagine
Ghost of
it's going to just be
Tsushima
another
being a
game.
series. Personally, I think it's a one-off.
You think it's a standalone?
Yeah. I don't
Uh,
like. I mean, I could see them doing another similar game, but I don't know that you could make this particular thing a series because it's very specific. You know what I mean? Like you could
well,
do another
yeah, I don't
Ghost
think it'll
game,
be.
like, but I don't think we'll see
I
Ghost of
think it'll be
Tsushima
like
2.
no. I agree with you on that. I definitely think if there's a sequel, it'll be called like Ghost of Tokyo or like
Right.
Ghost
Okay.
of
Yeah. Sure.
yeah.
I could.
It'll
I
be the
could
same
see it.
character.
Yeah.
You'll play as the same guy going forward, but it won't just be, the typical blah 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 episode 2 or part 2 or whatever. It'll have to be different because it's not on Tsushima anymore.
Right. I could.
But
I could see them doing it almost their version of Assassin's Creed because let's be real honest, they did everything Assassin's Creed did better.
oh yeah.
Can't say.
Yeah, but like
I fell off a
legitimately
bridge and was like, "This looks like it's going to be fun," and then did something else.
having played having played all of them except for Odyssey cuz I just won't they did literally everything Assassin's Creed has done but better. Like they essentially made the perfect Assassin's Creed game.
Yeah, I guess to put it into perspective is I have played every single Assassin's Creed game, and I fell in love with the series as to what it could be, not necessarily what it's become. Um, and the first time Sucker Punch made a game similar esque to Assassin's Creed, they made the exact Assassin's Creed game I've wanted for years.
Yeah,
and
since the
years,
very beginning.
which is why Ghost of Tsushima is probably it's in my top 3. It might be my top game of all time.
Yeah, 7 will always be at the top for me, but honestly, it's between Ghost of Tsushima and Red Dead Redemption 2 for me. Like they're neck and neck. I think I'm gonna give it to Ghost because while I do love Red Dead, it's such a long game. It's so long, but like they get such a good story in there. I just don't know.
Tim, I don't think I actually know what your favorite game is of all time.
Mine
Yeah.
of all time.
Yeah, like favorite game just in history. Matter to the platform, whatever.
I mean, uh,
if you don't actually have an answer, you don't have to come up with one. I just don't think.
I thought of like 5 immediately, and I was like, "Well, which one is
Okay.
my favorite?"
Okay, can you pick a top 3?
Sure.
Okay.
When I say this, I mean the original God of War. Super Mario Brothers 3.
Yeah, 3 is always.
Yeah. Persona 5.
Wow.
Okay. Yeah.
But if I was gonna do 5, then you're talking about original Final Fantasy 7, and then
I thought you liked was it 6 or 9 more?
8.
8. Well, I almost had it.
No, 8 has a special place because I played it first. I think
Okay.
7 is a superior game,
Sure.
but I always have like that extra love for 8 because it was the first one I played.
I got you.
But I think 7 is a superior game to 8. I just think 8 doesn't get enough love.
No, I don't think it does either. But I do think that 7 has had the best story.
Yeah.
Overall.
And then to run off my top 5, it's Horizon Zero Dawn. Those would probably be my solid 5. Because now I was like, well, I also like Breath of the Wild a lot.
Yeah, Ocarina of Time will always sit right around 3 or 4 for me.
But those, I mean, if I had to pick an absolute one, I'm gonna probably just go with the retro Mario 3 because it's the one I played so much when I was a kid, and it's a classic game and it's beloved by pretty much everyone. So if I had to pick one, I would pick honestly Mario 3.
How about you, Christian?
I think the only game
I feel like I
from
know the
like
answer.
childhood or whatever that actually has continued to stay in my top 3 is Pokemon Silver, and that's
See, I forgot about
number
Silver
3.
too. See, like it's so hard to pick one.
Silver
I
is
love
definitely
Silver.
in my top 5.
I forgot about
Yeah.
Silver. Damn it.
It's all right.
I think I like
Um,
Soul Silver. I mean, it's the same game, but like in terms of versions of the game, I think Soul Silver is my favorite.
You know what's funny is that Silver and Gold are practically the same game, but everybody always picks Silver. I don't know a lot of people
Because
who actually.
Ho-Oh sucks.
yeah, because Lugia is superior.
Lugia is way superior, and Ho-Oh sucks. And I
Yeah.
remember when those two games came out, me and you were like, "Oh, we can't get the same one." And I was like, "Well, I really like Silver, but you also really, I'll get Gold." And
Yeah, I
you're,
think you actually got Heart Gold.
I got
Yeah.
Heart Gold, and I was like, "Lugia."
I remember you saying the same thing. Like we should get like both of them so we can get all the Pokemon. I went, all right, cool. I'm not getting anything but Soul Silver.
Yeah,
though.
and I was like,
You're
"Well,
like,
I guess I'll get Gold."
I guess I'll get Heart Gold.
I was like,
Because my stance was firm. I was
Yeah.
like, yeah, no, I'm buying Soul Silver. Like, you can go ahead and try and convince me to get Heart Gold, but it's Soul Silver. So if you want all the Pokemon, you gotta get Heart Gold.
"Yeah."
My top 2 favorite video games of all time have come out in the past year.
Rift Apart.
Rift Apart is probably number 2, and Ghost of
Ooh.
Tsushima I think
Okay.
is number 1.
Oh,
Really? Okay.
wow. I really
But there's
thought.
something. I said original God of War, by the way, not the remake, because there's something that's so good about the original God of War. Like it was like it was unique at the time, and it was like the first game I ever like that I remembered like that wasn't an RPG that I was like really into.
So nostalgia, I'm sure, plays a big role in that. Then
Oh yeah, like I could play that game now, as bad as graphics as they are. I could play that game now and be just as happy as when I played it in like 2006.
Yeah, it's a great
so
game.
I think we've talked about this before. God of War remake was my introduction to the series.
Oh really? You never played the original God of War?
I never have. I've always meant to go back and play, and I think they came out with like a trilogy or something on the PlayStation 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I never went back, and so when they
Go
the new one-
eBay, you a cheapo PS2, and you can borrow my copy. 'Cause
so
I never sold it.
not gonna lie, you say PS2 or PS3?
Well, I have the PS2 copy still, so you have to get a PS2.
Okay. I was
But
gonna
if
say
you
not
wanted
gonna
to
lie.
get a PS3, go for it.
I've thought about trying to get my hands on a PlayStation 3 again because I want to go back, play the original trilogy of God of War, and I want to go back and play all the old Ratchet and Clank games again. And
Yes,
there is like a collection pack for the PlayStation 3 that was never brought to PS4 and hasn't yet to be brought to PS5, and I really want to go back and play it all.
Crazy thing is that like a PS3 still goes for like $300 if you're gonna buy
I
one.
know.
It's new. It's
Yeah.
like $300. If you go on eBay, it's not much cheaper.
Yeah. So
Because
At
there's
this
like
point,
there's some games on PS3 that I want to play. Because like
Yeah.
I want to play like Drakengard and stuff like that, which never got enough love to get like an upgrade, which was a really fun game. And like there was a Heaven's Blade or something like that was like very like a God of War one that I really enjoyed.
Wasn't that a launch title?
Yeah, it was a launch title. It was really good, and like no one ever talks about it. I thought it was pretty good. It was like teen-rated female Kratos, but I thought it was a pretty good story, pretty good campaign for what it was.
I remember seeing like the demo and the trailer when the 3 first came out and being like, "Oh, I need it so bad," and I never played it.
Yeah, well, it was really good, but like PS3s are still kind of stupid expensive.
Yeah.
Considering the 5 is out now and people still play the 4.
I'm sure it's probably just largely in part that the PS3s are stopped production, so like you can't
Probably.
buy a fresh off the press PlayStation 3. It's just off of what already exists out in the world.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably. But yeah,
But-
if you find a cheapo PS2 and you want to play original God of War, or
You know
Fine.
what? Ashley has a PlayStation 2.
I have God of War if you want to play it.
All right, here we go.
Or by
And God of
other
War 2.
means, emulate it.
I wasn't gonna say that, but I was gonna say
With
other.
a legally obtained ROM.
Yeah, obviously. Don't go to any website
Yeah,
looking for one.
Don't do that.
Don't do that. Cody can't show you how to do it, so.
Oh my gosh. All right, guys. Is there anything else you would like to add before we round this episode out?
Watch Critical Role.
Yeah, Cushion. Watch Critical Role.
All right. Well, now that I've got my homework for the week, that's going to wrap up this week's
More
episode.
than
It's
a
gonna be more than a week, buddy. That's your homework for the next year.
Like, share, subscribe, and leave a comment below if you'd like to reach out to us. You can find us on Facebook and Twitter at SKO Entertainers, or visit our website, www.skoentertainment.net, for more information. And finally, don't forget to join us next week, because even on the best of days, we all need some kind of entertainment. Thanks, guys.
Bye.
See ya.